Uh, I hope that I'm audible. If I'm audible, please give me a thumbs up or you can tell me in the chat box. Hello. Okay, so I will start today's session. So I will start with a revision of last week's lecture live session, and then we will move towards the week 7 live session. So last week we have started with a question. Uh, Here the question is about the emission tax. So the in this question, the we are given the cost function, that is 20a square, that is for the cost of abatement, and then we are given the marginal benefit, that is the 10 per unit, right? So benefit of pollution abatement. So the question says what is the private marginal cost, and then what is the private marginal benefit. So private marginal cost will be the differentiation of this cost function, C1 function, from which we get 40A, where A is the level of pollution abatement. Uh, and private marginal benefit is zero because the company is not getting any benefit from the pollution abatement. And in when we try to get the social marginal cost, then we say that private marginal cost is equal to social marginal cost, that is equals to 40A. Then a social marginal benefit is given as 10 per unit, therefore it is 10. Then we are asked to represent the debt weight loss. So debt weight loss is represented by the loss the society will incur if the pollution abatement is not done. So the marginal social marginal benefit is given as this line, that is 10, right? And the private marginal cost is 40A. So the slope will be 40, and this area will be like 40. This line will be the 40A line, right? So then we get the area. So this area is the cost of abatement. However, this whole area is the benefit because of pollution abatement. So the area which I am drawing with a with a blue line, so this will be represented as dead weight loss. So that is how we get. And then the optimum tax unit will be 10, because the um, at uh, at 10 the social marginal cost will be equal to social marginal benefit. So therefore we get the tax amount as 10. So this we have solved in the last lecture. And then we have, I'll skip this part. And then we have moved towards the incentive design under uncertainty and the effectiveness of various market-based instruments such as emission tax and um, tradable pollution permit. So in the Piggyvent tax system, we had said that the marginal cost and private marginal benefit intersects. However, when we try to include the marginal damage caused by the firm to the society, then we get the social marginal cost. So the level of production should be equal to the point where the social marginal cost intersect with marginal benefits. So that is how we have uh, given the pig tax system. However, many a times we don't know the marginal abatement cost of each of the firm, which the firm knows, and many a times the firm do not prefer to tell the value of their abatement cost. Additionally, the marginal social cost, that is the cost damage because of pollution, is also not known, due to which the calculation of marginal social cost is another uncertainty in the pq tax system. So under the uncertainty case, how we what is the effectiveness of these two system that we have tried to learn, right? So in the first case, this is the emission tax system. So we are taking three cases. First one is expected marginal cost. Then the actual marginal cost might be higher or it might be lower, right? So when during the condition when MB is flat, when marginal benefit is flat system, then we have said that in all the case, point A, point B, the private optima and social optima converges. Therefore, the emission tax system is fully effective when MB is flat. However, yes, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I hope you are with me till now. Uh, Am I clear with the things I started right now? Or do you have any question? Then you can ask me. Okay. So now we are taking the case when we have three conditions. Okay. Now our expected marginal cost is shown here. And then we have marginal cost which might be higher or which might be lower, because the regulator or the policy maker do not know the MC curve. Okay. So, and we have taken the case where MB is downward sloping. Okay. Marginal benefit is downward sloping. In this case, during the emission tax system, what the regulator will do? The regulator will equate this tax amount with the expected marginal cost curve, right? So expected marginal cost and marginal benefit intersect at XM. So we get the level of abatement as XM, right? However, in actual, the when the marginal cost curve is higher, in this case, the XH is the higher uh, XH is the actual abatement value. However, the firm will abate XH star is the optimum value. However, the firm will abate till XH, where the intersection of tax amount and the marginal cost amount intersects, right? So this point K, so from here we get XH, and optimum value will be XH star. So this difference is known as reduced emission control. So when marginal cost curve is higher than the expected marginal cost curve, then in this case there is too less of pollution control. However, let us assume another case in which the marginal cost might be lower than the expected marginal cost. Okay, so in this case, okay, now in this case what I get, is, okay, now my marginal cost is lower than expected marginal cost. My optimum level of abatement which I calculated through expected marginal cost is XM, right? So the firm will abate till XL, because it will abate till the point K dash. So the value of optimum abatement level is XL. However, effective value will be calculated by intersection of marginal benefit and actual marginal cost. So the point A represents the optimum level. So this difference will be the additional emission control a firm have to do because of uncertainty in the marginal cost calculation. So we can say that emission tax system is not fully effective because either there is too less of pollution control or too much of pollution control when the expected marginal cost is higher or lower than the actual marginal cost, right? So therefore from this two we can say that when marginal benefit is flat, then emission tax system is fully effective. However, for steep marginal benefit curve, the emission tax might not be effective. So then we have gone towards the uncertain marginal benefit curve. So if the abatement is done, then what will be the benefit for the society overall, right? So if the marginal benefit is not known, then what will be the case? So let us, this is my expected marginal benefit and this is my marginal cost curve. Marginal cost curve is known, so the intersection of expected marginal benefit and this point K will give me the optimum level of abatement. Okay, so from here I calculate the tax T star. So when the tax T star is imposed, the firm having lower marginal benefit will abate till this point X star. However, its optimum level was XL. So this difference will be my additional emission control, which I'm forced to do. Similarly, let's say that there is another case where my marginal benefit is higher than the expected marginal benefit. In this case, my optimum level of abatement was still XH, which is higher than X star. So but when tax T star is imposed, I will only abate till X star. So this gap is given as the reduced emission control. So this is in the uncertain MB case. Okay. Then we move towards the tradable pollution permit. Why? Because we said that emission tax is based on equating the tax with marginal cost and marginal benefit. So the total emission which a firm will do is not known, right? So in many cases, there is a specific amount of emission which you can do to the environment. So in the case where there is fixed tolerable limit of emission, uh, the emission tax system is not applicable. Therefore, we move towards the tradable pollution permit system. So in tradable pollution permit system, what we do is each of the firm is given some permits. Okay, so each of the firm is given permit as 25 each. Okay, and we have assumed that marginal abatement cost of firm A is much higher than firm B. So both the firm emit the value as 40 kg. However, the permit that they have is 25 only, right? So the firm A have higher marginal cost and firm B have lower marginal cost. So if the firm have to reduce from 40 to 25, what the firm will do? Firm will abate till only 10 and then uh, it get the net emission of 30, right? So the 5 additional permit it will buy from cheaper marginal cost plant, that is plant B. So firm A will buy 5 permit from firm B and firm B will sell 5 permit. Why? Because firm B incur less amount of money to abate the same unit of uh, CO2 as compared to firm A. So in tradable pollution permit system, each of the firm is given some permit beyond which if you do emissions, either you have to abate or you have to buy the permit, right? So in the case of firm B, the abatement is done till 20 kg, right? So the emission which the firm B do is 20. However, it have permit for the emission of 25. So it have extra permit of 5 unit that will be sold to the firm A. So this is how the tradable pollution permit works. Okay. So till here, if you have any question, then you can ask me. Any question? Okay. Now we will move towards the ways of distributing permits, either through grandfathering, that is, permit is distributed equally to all the firms, or it is done through auctioning. So the uh, high marginal abatement cost firm will need more permits because they will prefer to buy permits rather than abating, right? Those plants which have lesser marginal abatement cost, these plants will choose to abate. So from here we get M is equals to MB is equals to MC, where M is optimal price per unit of permit and MB is my marginal benefit and MC is the marginal cost, right? So from here we have taken another uncertainty case where the MB curve is flat and we have M as the price of our permit, and the marginal cost can be higher or lower than the expected marginal cost, which is done by the regulator, right? So the regulator will equate the expected marginal cost and marginal benefit curve. So the uh, what the regulator get, that is XM. So XM is the optimum level of uh, pollution, right? So from here the firm is given permits. However, let's say that the marginal cost might be higher. In this case, the XH star is the optimum level. However, if a marginal cost is lower, then XL star is the optimum level of abatement. Okay. So from here, what we can say is when XH is less than XM, here the too much of pollution control the firm is forced to do till XM, right? So it shows that it represents that though there is less permit in the market, the firm is forced to abate more pollution. So in the case 2, when XL is more than XM, then there is too less of pollution control. Why? Because the firm can abate till XL, however the abatement is done till XM. So in both the cases the ineffective is seen. So we can say that the permit system is not effective. The permit system is not effective when the marginal benefit is flat straight line. Okay. So from here we have now the case where MB is steeper. Okay. So when MB is steeper, the difference between this XH star and XM and XM and XL star is reducing. So let's take case 3 where it is flatter. So here the difference is higher. However, in case 2, the difference is lower. So we can say that steeper the MB curve, more effective is the tradable pollution permit system. So this is how we have come across in the MB cases, right? So emission tax and permit system works in totally different direction. Emission tax is more effective for flatter MB curve. However, a permit system is more effective for steeper MB curve. And permit system is not flexible like emission charge system. Why? Because once the permit is given in the market, the regulator cannot change again and again the number of permit which is being introduced in the market. So that is till the last week's lecture. So now we will start today's session. So I hope that you are with me right now. Am I clear, Divya? If you have any question from last week's sessions, you can ask me. Okay. Now I will start today's session. So in this session, we will cover a part of environmental efficiency and cost of pollution control. and theory and methods for environmental valuation. So the introduction of module 8 and module 7. So from last session, we see that there are two types of incentive design. First is through price rationing, which is by levying tax on the emission, and second is through quantity rationing, right? So quantity rationing is done by tradable pollution permit, where the quantity of pollution is set by the regulator, right? So in both the system, the success is depend on the information about marginal abatement cost. If you know the marginal abatement cost, then both the market based instrument are effective. However, because of information asymmetry, that is that we don't know the information about the marginal abatement cost, the high cost firm and low cost firm both underreport their MAC curve. MAC, that is that though my marginal abatement cost is lower, I will say that my marginal abatement cost is high, so that I don't have to reduce my emission, right? So this is one of the challenges which the regulator face, that the okay, so that is one of the issue the regulator face, right? So the high cost firm as well as low cost firm show that they have higher marginal abatement cost. So how the policy should be designed? So one of the example is that we can say that those which are having lower MSC firm should be given some incentive so that they reduce the emission, and higher MSC cost curve do not get any incentive. So to get more incentive, those firm will do not underreport. They will say that I have lower MSC, so I need incentive and I'll reduce the emission, right? So some kind of incentive system should be there so that the true marginal abatement cost curve is revealed. Okay, so then we learned about the characteristics of policy instruments. So a policy instrument is called effective when the instrument achieve its objective. Okay, the policy instrument is efficient when it achieve its objective at minimum cost, and when a policy instrument is having characteristics, that is equitable distribution of cost or benefit of pollution control. So if a firm incurs the cost of pollution control, then all firm have to incur this cost. It should not be burden on certain firms or certain sector of firms, right? Or the benefit because of pollution control should be equally distributed among the beneficiaries. So that is the characteristics. Now we will see again the two cases, that is emission tax case and tradable pollution permit case, right? So the effective is defined as the characteristics of achieving its objective, right? So we said that in okay, so as long as there is perfect information about the marginal abatement cost, both the emission tax and permit system are effective. So if you know the marginal abatement cost as well as marginal benefit, then the emission tax system is also effective and tradable pollution permit system is effective. It depends on your requirement. However, when the marginal abatement cost curve is uncertain, then emission tax is fully effective for flatter MB curve, and tradable pollution permit system works better with marginal benefit steeper, right? So that is what we have seen here. In the effective cases for emission tax, the flat MB curve is effective because in for both point A, point B as well as point O. Point O is assumed by the regulator. Point A and B are actual abatement costs, which might be lower or higher than the expected marginal cost. So in all the cases, the private optima and social optima converges. That is, marginal cost is equals to marginal benefit is equals to T in both the cases, right? However, in tradable pollution permit system, when the MB curve is steeper, the difference between this XM and XH and XM and XL star are uh, lesser. So steeper, there will be lesser gaps. So it is more effective. Now we will move towards the ineffective cases. So in emission tax system, when MB is steep, there is difference between XH and optimal XH as well as XL and optimum XL. So there will be reduced emission control and additional emission control, too less of emission and too much of emission, right? So here we have too much of emission. So from here we can say that the emission tax system is ineffective when our MB curve becomes steeper. And in tradable pollution permit system, we said that when we have MB curve which is flat, then the gap between XM and XH star and XM and XL is higher. So this is ineffective. So from here we can conclude that emission tax system is not effective when regulator wants fixed amount of pollution, right? Tradable pollution permit is more effective when pollution is fixed over the given period of time. So when the amount of pollution or amount of emission is fixed, then we have to go towards the tradable pollution permit because it will ensure the maximum tolerable limit of emission. And now let's say that the policymaker wants certainty over the marginal abatement cost curve, or it wants economically efficient reduction of emission. In this case, emission tax is more effective. Here, tradable pollution permit does not ensure certainty over the cost of pollution control. TPP cost might be higher than the emission tax system because in emission tax system, the pollution control is done by firm by equating the amount of tax T with the marginal abatement cost curve of each of the firm. Right, the firm will abate till T is equals to MSE, beyond which the firm will prefer to pay tax. So each of the firm will equate their marginal abatement cost curve with the tax. So it is more effective in terms of price. So this is the conclusion of the difference between emission tax and tradable pollution permit system. So till now, if you have any question, then you can ask me. Any question, Divya? Okay, now I will move towards the next part. I'm hoping that there is no question till now. So now we will move towards the comparison of uniform standard system and emission tax system. Okay, so what is uniform standard system? In uniform standard system, the regulator will tell each of the firm to abate X amount of pollution control. Okay, so the regulator will say all of you have to reduce this amount of emission by this time or whatever. Okay, so this is uniform standard and we are comparing uniform standard with the emission tax system. Okay, so in uniform standard, let's say that the here we have plant firm A and firm B. Okay, firm A is low cost firm and firm B is high cost firm. Low cost and high cost are in terms of MAC, marginal abatement cost. Okay, so what we will do, so the EFA and EFB, sorry, are amount of emission by firm A and firm B respectively, right? So this is the amount of pollution which both the firm does, right, at point B. Let's say B dash here or B. So now let's both the firm emits this much amount. So in the x-axis, in this case, we are not showing the abatement. However, we are showing emission, right? Therefore, the marginal abatement cost curve is seen as downward sloping, right? So it you have to see in opposite direction, so it will be upward sloping, right? So emission, let's say that now we have to reduce the emission amount, that is E. Okay, so here also we have to emit E. Now, in the tradable pollution permit system, you both the firm have to abate equally, right? 1 by 2 times emission by firm A plus emission by firm B. So both the firm have to abate equally in the uniform standard system. Okay. Now, in emission tax system, let's say that E is the level of abatement which we have to do, then what will be the most effectively? So we will equate the intersection of MSC with the tax. This is the tax line. So by equating, here we get EA and here we get EB. So EA and EB are the abatement done by firm A and firm B, which is very different, right? So in the case of uniform standard, both the firm have to abate equally. However, in the taxation system, the firm with lower marginal abatement cost curve will abate more compared to firm with higher marginal cost curve. So how it is done? So the abatement is done till EA from here, and the abatement by firm B is done till EB. So we can see that the marginal abatement cost MACA is lesser than MACB. So the emission abatement done by EA is more than abatement done by B. So in the taxation system, we can say that the firm choose to abate based on their marginal abatement cost curve. However, here both the firm have to do, though we can see that the firm B have higher cost of abatement compared to firm A, both have to equally abate. So if we look into the economy, then let's say that at this point and at this point, firm B have much higher cost of abatement compared to firm A. So we say that the uniform standard is economically inefficient because without looking into the marginal abatement cost, both the firm will abate equally. So the more preferable way should be that firm A abates more than firm B. So we will conclude that in uniform standard we mandate both the firms some abatement which will be equal. Then however, marginal abatement cost curve of B is much higher than A, so it is not cost effective system. So effective way is to decide a tax rate, that is T, and each firm will equate their MSC to the tax rate, and we get the EA and EB from this intersection of marginal abatement cost curve with the tax. Okay, O and O dash are intersection. From here we get EA, which is much more than EB. So you have to look from this distance. You don't, because the axis shows the emission, not the abatement. So is there any question till now? Please ask me. Pujarini, are you there? Hello, Divya. Hello.
No, ma'am.
Yes. Am I clear? Are you able to
Yes, ma'am.
are you able to cope up with the things which I covered right till now? Do you have any question? Then you can ask me, like in the slide number of or anything. Yes. Any question? If you have any question, then you can ask me in the chat box also. Now I will move towards the efficiency part. Right now, till now we are talking about the effectiveness. So from this uniform standard versus emission tax system, we can say that emission tax system is much effective compared to uniform standard system, right? So that is the conclusion. Here it is shown that emission tax is more effective than the uniform standard, as same amount of pollution abatement is achieved at lower cost in the case of emission tax system. So I hope that this is clear till now. Now we will move towards the efficiency part. So efficiency is defined as the policy instrument will achieve the targeted level of emission reduction at minimum cost. So the objective is achieved at least cost, right? So the cost is cost of social resources, right? So emission tax, what it will do is it will try to align the private cost and social cost, right? So the when the social cost is higher than compared to private cost, let's say that there is a firm which pollutes water. So though the water is polluted by the firm will not care if there is no regulation, right? But the firm is causing some externality to the fishermen or to the biodiversity. So the social cost is much higher than the private cost. So to align both the private cost and social cost, some tax amount is being levied on each unit of emission. So then Baumol and Oates, they propose that emission tax is set at a level to achieve a targeted level of reduce pollution reduction, which minimizes the social cost of pollution control. So what it says is that the pollution reduction is done at the least cost. So the cost of pollution control is minimum, right? So graphically, we have discussed in the last slide that emission tax is more effective than uniform standard system. So that we have seen graphically. So we have to we will try to prove this that the pollution reduction is done at minimum social cost when we levy some emission tax, right? So previously what we have discussed is that the in the emission tax system, tax amount is the intersection of marginal abatement cost and marginal benefit, right? P is equals to MC is equals to MB. So how we come across this, we have to prove here. So we will try to prove in the next two slides. That is, Baumol and Oates said that the emission tax will try to uh, achieve the target level of pollution reduction at minimum cost, right? So what will be the social planner's objective? So the social planner, that is the regulator or the policymaker, okay? So in this case we are assuming k number of firms. So there are k number of firms where rik is given by input. Rik is the input of ith input used by kth firm. K is my firm and I is the set of inputs, okay? Now my production function yk is given by fk, function of its raw materials. Okay, these are my input, right? So this is my output. So my production will be dependent on all the dependent on the all the input which I use, right? Then I have a emission value which will be shown as output amount and abatement amount. So this value is abatement amount, okay? Then we get pi, that is price of ith input, and p mu, that is the price of abatement input, okay? So now the objective function will include the production cost and abatement cost. So the social planner will think about the cost of abatement of pollution because of this production, right? The production will produce some emission which we have to abate. So there will be some cost. So from here we get two components. So the production cost. So we have firm from 1 to k. So all the firm will be summed and input from 1 to n. So we double sum both the input as well as firm, and then the price multiplied by raw material. Okay. Then we get the price of abatement and uh, abatement done by each of the firm. Okay. So the objective function is clear, that is production cost and abatement cost are there. Then what are my constraints? My constraints, first is output constraints, that is production constraints. Second is emission constraints. And third one is tolerable maximum emission, that is this is my maximum emission. So the sum of all the emission done by firm should not exceed some value, that is E. And each of the emission is always less than 0 for firm K is equals to 1 to K. Okay, where capital K is the total number of firm. So till now, if there is any question, then you can ask in the chat box or you can ask me. Yes. Any question? Okay, now we will move towards the next part, that is the okay. Now what the now we get objective function constraints, right? So from here we try to draw the Lagrangian function. So the Lagrangian function is drawn by first keeping the objective function, and then we multiply a multiplier, okay, lambda and mu, and then uh, we get all the constants into the function. Okay, so first constant is this, so we get yk star minus yk star is the optimum level of output minus this function f, and then mu sum this minus my e, right? This is my e. So this I have taken and I substitute ek as a bk. Okay, so this is my k. So if I differentiate the Lagrangian function with respect to the raw material, this is my control variable. Then we equate it to 0 to maximize, right? To maximize or minimize. So in this case, the objective function is to minimize. So we have to differentiate and then equate it to 0. So from here we get the value of pi and p mu, where we have two control variables as rik and UK. Okay, so then we get both the value of price and price of input and price of abatement, right? So from here we can get the lambda k as well as mu. So here if we try to draw the find the value of mu, then we can say that PV upon change in BK upon change in BK, right? So BK is my emission and this is my abatement. So this whole value will give me the by changing one, by abating 1 unit, what will be the impact on the emission, right? So by changing 1 unit, what will be the emission, and this is my price of abatement. So I can say that mu is marginal abatement cost. the cost of reducing 1 unit of emission can be given by mu. So from here now, from social planner perspective, we try to formulate the problem by taking the production function and the emission cost, production cost, emission cost, and then we draw the um, constraints such as output constraints, emission constraints, maximum tolerable constraints, and then we try to formulate the Lagrangian function, differentiate it with the RIK and mu k. Okay. So from here we get the value of mu and lambda k. So mu and lambda are multiplier, and we see that mu represents the marginal abatement cost curve. Marginal abatement cost, that is the cost of reducing additional unit of emission. So from here, now we will go towards the firm's objective. So the firm's objective is to minimize the production cost and abatement cost and tax. So we get additional amount, that is tax. So if I do not abate, then I have to pay the tax. So this is my abatement cost, and this is my production cost. Okay. Then the same output constraints, emission constraints, and EK is more than 0. So from here, again, we will try to formulate. So we first give the objective function, and then we will try to, so till here we have objective function, and then we say that beta k is my multiplier, and then I will multiply this with this function. Okay. So from here, I can say that change in Lagrangian function with respect to Rik is equal to 0. Then I get Pi is equals to beta k times del of this. And if I differentiate Lagrangian function with the Vk, then I get t times change in this with respect to Vk, right? So from equation number 4 and equation number 2, so this term and this term are same, and PV is in the left hand side, right? So we can say that from 2 and 4, optimum level of tax value is mu, where mu is represented by marginal abatement cost curve of the firm. So we can say that tax is equals to marginal abatement cost curve of the firm K. The firm K is one of the Ks. However, it is applicable for all the firms from 1 to K is equals to 1 to K is equals to capital K. So, uh, so we can, from here we can summarize that Bormel and Oates said that if T is equals to T star, that is optimum level of tax at which both firms okay at which both all the firms sorry at which all the firms try to equate their marginal cost of abatement with let's say that MCA, MCB, MCN, where A, B, N are the firms. So all the firm will try to equate the tax amount with the marginal abatement cost curve. So we have proven that optimum level of tax is equal to marginal abatement cost. So this is how we have proven. So we have set one social planner's objective. We have set one private firm's objective. Then by equating social planner's objective with the private firm's objective, we derive the condition that optimality T star should be marginal abatement cost of kth firm. So firm cost function is same as society's cost function while adding the tax amount, right? So from here we can say that if you levy some tax amount, then the private optima and social optima converges, right? So we say that the firm's reaction to the taxes help coinciding firm's subjective with the social planner's objective, that is to maximize the social welfare, right, at minimum cost. So that is what we have derived from this few slides. So if you have any questions in these derivations, then you can ask me. Okay, now we will try to interpret.
हेलो
Yes,
मैम,
yes, yes.
मैं कुछ पूछने के लिए चाहती हूँ।
Sure, sure, sure. कुछ और?
मैम, जब एग्जाम होगा मैम,
हाँ.
ये मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चन आएगा ना ऐसे ही लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आएगा मैम?
Mostly it will be multiple choice question.
अ,
Yes. So it will be based on all the questions assignments which you do. So the questions will be MCQ only. Okay.
यस मैम,
Okay. So till now, are you
यस
able to understand what I'm trying to cover?
मैम, मैं समझ सकती हूँ लेकिन इंग्लिश में ना नहीं बोल सकती हूँ।
अच्छा, ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। आपको जब मैं समझा रही हूँ तब समझ आ रहा है?
यस मैम,
अच्छा, जब you can understand but you cannot speak, right? You are not
यस
comfortable
मैम,
speaking, so it's fine. I hope that you are comfortable in English because I have to upload this lecture on the portal. Okay, so therefore I'm speaking in English. So if you have any question, then you can ask me. Then I'll stop and tell you in Hindi also. Okay. Okay.
नो मैम,
Okay. Now, till now, are you able to understand like कि क्या हो रहा है मतलब इस कोर्स में? आपको अभी तक समझ आया क्या चीज़ है कि लाइक एमिशन टैक्स क्या है और पोल्यूशन परमिट क्या होता है, ये समझ आया बेसिक?
कुछ कुछ समझ सकती हूँ मैं।
हम्म। तो एमिशन टैक्स में क्या होता है कि लेट्स से दैट आपके पास एक कंपनी है, ठीक है? तो कंपनी क्या करता है कि उसको मान लीजिए कि
यस
स्टील
मैम,
प्रोड्यूस करना है, तो वो क्या करेगा कि जितना अगर उसको कोई रेगुलेशन नहीं करेगा तो वो जितना उसका मैक्सिमम प्रोडक्शन है वो करेगा, राइट? एमिशन का सोचेगा नहीं, जितना CO2 प्रोड्यूस करेगा उसका सोचेगा नहीं। बट बिकॉज ऑफ CO2 एमिशन हमको तकलीफ होगा, जो आसपास के लोग हैं उनको तकलीफ होगा। तो उसको बोलता है कि मार्जिनल सोशल डैमेज। सो
हाँ,
आप सोसाइटी को कितना डैमेज कर रहे हो। तो इसीलिए हम क्या करता है कि कोई भी कंपनी है तो उसको एमिशन की जितना एमिट कर रहे हो उस पे टैक्स लगाता है कि आपको इतना क्वांटिटी पे इतना टैक्स लगेगा, ठीक है? तो वो हो गया एमिशन टैक्स सिस्टम। और सेकंड सिस्टम है ट्रेडेबल पोल्यूशन परमिट। इसमें क्या होता है कि मान लीजिए कि दो कंपनी है, ठीक है? कंपनी ए और कंपनी बी है। तो कंपनी ए के ऊपर क्या किया आपने कि लेट्स से दैट वो 1 टन ऑफ CO2 प्रोड्यूस करता है, ठीक है? कंपनी बी भी 1 टन ऑफ CO2 प्रोड्यूस करता है। बट लेट्स से मैं पॉलिसी बना रही हूँ, तो मैं बोलूंगी कि आप लोग 1 टन नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हो, आप लोग 0.7 टन नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हो। तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? दोनों फर्म को अपना एमिशन कम करना पड़ेगा, राइट? सो क्या हो गया कि एक क्वांटिटी पे फिक्स कर दिया कि आप इतना क्वांटिटी ही प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हो। तो क्या करेगा कि जो अगर मेरा एमिशन कम करने का पैसा कम है, तो मैं क्या करूंगी कि आई रिड्यूस माय एमिशन बाय वेरियस एबेटमेंट मेथड्स, राइट? एबेटमेंट मतलब एमिशन को कम करना। और अगर मेरा प्राइस ज़्यादा है, इफ माई abatement price is high, then what I will do is I will not abate, but I will buy permit from another firm. So as I have discussed before, so tradable pollution permit में क्या होता है कि let's say that firm ए का प्राइस ज्यादा था, राइट? तो उसको एमिशन कम नहीं कर पा रहे, तो क्या करेगा कि ये 5 परमिट फर्म बी से लेगा, और फर्म बी जो है, दो फर्म बी का 40 है और 40 में से 15 ही करने की जरूरत है क्योंकि उसके पास 25 परमिट है, बट फर्म बी ने 5 एक्स्ट्रा किया और 5 एक्स्ट्रा जो है वो भेजा है फर्म ए को. ओके, so this is how the traditional tradable pollution permit works. Now from for both the cases what we did is that, like जब कोई भी पॉलिसी मेकर होता है तो they don't know the marginal abatement cost curve कि आप कॉस्ट ऑफ अबेटमेंट कितना है, कितना CO2 कम करने के लिए, राइट. सो दिस कर्व where my x-axis shows the level of abatement and y-axis shows the cost. So when marginal abatement cost curve is not known, then how it is being done. So this is in the uncertainty cases. Okay. So uh, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I will continue with the lecture. If you have any question, then you can ask me. Okay. You can stop me at any point of time and you can ask me. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, okay, now I will move towards the transboundary pollution and global uh, public good. Okay. Now, abhi tak, till now, what we have said is that the regulator will either levy some tax on the emission, or the regulator will give some permit for each of the firm, and then when the emission is higher than the permit, then they will try to trade, right? So, however, many a times the pollution is uh, pollution or emission moves across the political boundary. Okay, so it does not stay in one country, however it moves from one country to another. So pollution generated in one area is easily transferred to other areas, right? So now transboundary pollution needs to be characterized by international externality. Let's say that India is producing certain amount of CO2. Because of India's emission of CO2, not only India, however, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, all these countries are being affected, right? So this kind of pollution is termed as transboundary pollution, where the pollution do not follow the political boundary. So let's say that there is a country where so if I'm a country, let's say India, then if the pollution is internalized or if the pollution is inside the country, then the effective way of equating tax with the marginal abatement cost curve is done, right? When T is equals to MSC, the abatement is done beyond which the firm will choose to pay tax. However, there is no regulation for transboundary pollution such as CO2, global warming, etc. So, in the case where many countries are involved, let's say that Nepal is producing huge amount of CO2, then the global warming might happen. However, Nepal, which will impact all the other countries. So, we say that there is no supernatural government to impose the regulation on a specific country. So when a country emits or pollutes, then there is no supranational country beyond above all the countries. So there is a need for arrangement to internalize the externality caused by each of the country. So the arrangement is done through international agreement such as scope, such as scope, Paris Agreement, before which we have a Kyoto Protocol and etc. Or there is some cooperation level at international. Okay, cooperation at international level from all the countries. So what they will do? All the country will stay together. They will say that I will reduce this much of emission, or I will reduce this much of emission intensity from this level. Then I will try to install more renewable energy capacity and etc. So this is how the agreement is being done. So But why? What is the challenges? So let's say that all the country come together to reduce the emission. So the benefit of abatement is enjoyed by all the country, but the country have incentive to free ride. Let's say that uh, all the others are doing, why do I have to participate? I don't want to participate because it is hindering my economic growth, right? So that is how the country free ride, that the country will move away from the agreement, or move away from the cooperation, because they have more incentive not to do, because other countries are anyway reducing the emission. So, higher the net benefit from cooperation uh, in pollution reduction, larger is the probability that the country will free ride. Free ride means without incurring any cost of pollution control, the country is enjoying the benefit of pollution control. That is known as free ride. Okay. So, till this two slide, do you have any question? Then you can ask me. Yes. आपको समझ आया यहाँ तक? ट्रांसबाउंडरी पोल्यूशन क्या है?
Yes,
Hmm. So,
yes, ma'am.
can you give me some example of transboundary pollution? क्या हो सकता है कि,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, give me some example of such pollution. All the global pollution like CO2 जो है, CO2 move from one country to other country, right? Or let's say that ozone layer depletion or acid rain. So all this pollution are known as transboundary pollution. This pollution do not follow any political boundary. अगर कोई लोकल पोल्यूटेंट होता, कि मान लीजिए कि डस्ट है या फिर कुछ एक जगह पे ही पोल्यूशन होता, मान लीजिए कि पानी को पोल्यूट कर दिया, रिवर को, तो मे बी मेरा कंट्री है तो मुझे ही झेलना पड़ेगा। बट अगर एयर को पोल्यूशन करोगे और जो ग्लोबल पोल्यूटेंट्स होता है वो एक कंट्री से दूसरा कंट्री में मूव करता है, तो इन दिस केस such pollutants are known as transboundary pollutants. Okay. So here there is a requirement of international cooperation and agreement. However, many a times those country tends to move away from the uh, agreement and try to free ride. Free ride means enjoying without paying any price of pollution control. Okay. Now we will move towards the game theoretic approach to analyze the problem of global cooperation. Okay. So हम क्या कर रहा है कि यहाँ पे let's say that there is a country J. Okay. Jth country where MAC is the marginal abatement cost. So the marginal abatement cost curve is shown by this black line, okay, of country J. So the marginal damage, okay, so the marginal damage curve is shown where marginal damage for country J. Let's say that a country is the country is emitting some pollution, then the damage, what is the damage being done? This is represented by this red line, and MDCS, that is the sum of marginal damage. Marginal damage for all the countries taken together. So, if a country is polluting, then the damage might be incurred by some other country. So, we are summing up all the damages. Okay. So, if uh, one country's damage and cost is equated, then we get QN. And if we consider sum of damages to all the country and see the intersection of marginal abatement cost curve and marginal damage curve, then we can say that we get towards the QC. Okay. So QC is when a country cooperates, and QN is when the country do not cooperate. Okay. So here, in the case one, globally optimal level of pollution is achieved when MAC is equals to sum of MDC. Okay, so in this case, we move towards the QC. QC is socially optimal level of pollution when the country cooperates. So all the country, when country J cooperates with other countries to reduce the emission, then the country will abate till the level of QC. So this is how the um, cooperation works. Okay, so MDCS gives us the net damage done by one country to all the other countries including itself. So that is how we can see. Now let's say that free ride case. Now the country will only equate its marginal abatement cost with the marginal damage. So here we don't get sum, we get only MDC of J. Okay, so in this case where MSC of J is equals to MDC of J, in here we can say that the country is free riding, though the country have more benefit when it moves from QN to QC. The country will do not abate the pollution because it will try to free ride, that is enjoying the uh, pollution reduction from other countries, right? So QN is the non-cooperating solution. So this is also known as Nash equilibrium. Okay, so in game theory, this is known as Nash equilibrium, where the country will try to optimize its own abatement cost and benefits, right? So now let's say that there is a true country. Okay, so now we will try to formulate the payoff matrix. So if a country pollutes low and low, then for each of the country the benefits are 1 and 2. Okay, if a country 2 pollutes high and country 1 pollutes low, then the payoff is -1 comma 5. And if the country 1 pollutes high and country 2 pollutes low, then the payoff is given by 2 comma -3. And when the country 2 pollutes high and country 1 pollutes high, then let's say payoff is 0 comma 0. Now in this case, let's say now I'll try to see. Okay, now let's say that country 2 pollutes low. Okay, country 2 pollutes low, what will country 1 do? Country 2 pollutes low, country 1 have higher, sorry, let's move towards the country 1 case. Okay, country 1 pollutes low. Okay, then what will country 2 do? Country 2 have higher payoff at 5 rather than 2. So this is my optimum level. So in the case when country 1 pollutes low, the country 2 will move towards higher pollution. Second one, in the case when country 1 pollutes high, okay, the for the country 2 it is -3 if it pollutes low, or it is 0 if it pollutes high. So -3, 0 is greater than -3, so the country 2 will choose this one, right? So in both the cases, the country 2 is choosing to abate high. So irrespective of what country 1 does, the country 2 is polluting higher. So we can say that, and this 0 comma 0 is the Nash equilibrium, which is called as Pareto suboptimal case. So for both the country 1 and 2, the common solution is 0 comma 0. So we say that both the country pollutes high only. So not any one of them tries to reduce the pollution. So we can say that each country has dominant strategy of non-cooperation, that is high pollution. So that is what we have come across from this payoff matrix. So if you have any question in this, then you can ask me. Yes. Any question here? Okay. Divya, I think you got disconnected till now. Shall I repeat the slide? Hello. Okay. Now, so okay. Now I'll repeat it one more time. So here we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand what I said till now, or shall I repeat it one more time? Shall I repeat it one more time? Yes. Hello. Okay. Now I'll just repeat it from this one, this slide. That now we have discussed that the transboundary pollution are those pollution which do not respect the boundary. Okay, which do not respect the political boundary. In such cases, the one country cannot the regulation in one country will not solve the problem. There is requirement of international agreement and cooperation so as to get towards the reduced pollution. So in such cases, all the country will come together, will need to come together and agree to reduce certain level of emission. Okay. However, many a times the country will try to free ride. When other countries are reducing the emission, one country will enjoy the emission reduction without paying any cost of pollution control. This is known as free ride. So, higher the net benefit of cooperation for pollution reduction, larger will be the incentive for particular country to free ride. So, in this case, we have taken the marginal abatement cost curve of country J and marginal damage curve for country J and for some of all the countries. So, because of pollution of country J, other countries are also being affected. So, we get the net sum of emissions. Okay, so if we equate this, then we get two value, that is qc and qn. C is the case when we get cooperation, right? When a country cooperates with emission reduction, then qc is the level of abatement. However, when a country do not cooperate with the emission reduction, then qn is the level of abatement. Okay, so when globally optimum level of pollution is done, then we will equate this with the sum of mdc. So from here we get the QC, that is socially optimum level of pollution. However, if we equate on not sum, however only marginal damage for the country J, then we reach towards the non-cooperating solution, which is known as Nash equilibrium. From here we try to draw the payoff matrix. In what is payoff matrix? Payoff matrix is that, let's say that country 1 and country 2, if both the country reduce their pollution, that is low, then the payoff for both the countries 1 comma 2. If country 1 pollutes high and country 2 pollutes low, then the payoff is given by 2 comma minus 3 and so on, right? So now we are taking a case, what will country 1 do if country 2, if what will country 2 do if country 1 uh, emits low or high? Okay, so now we will take some cases. Okay. Let's say that country 1 pollutes low, that is, country 1 will reduce the emission. However, the payoff for country 2 is higher here, 5 is more than 2. So, this is my optimum solution. Second case, country 1 is emitting high. Pollution for country 1 is high. For country 2, this is -1 and this is 0. So this is my solution, right? So in both the cases, whether a country 1 abates pollution or do not abate pollution, country 2 will always pollute higher. Okay, so each country has dominant strategy of non-cooperation, that is high pollution, whether any country does or does not. So from here, what we get is, we get to the level of Nash equilibrium, that is known as that is the Pareto suboptimal. That is the Pareto suboptimal with the set consisting of best solution for both the country. So for country A as well as country B, the best solution is pollute high and do not abate the pollution. So that is how we have come across in the game theoretic approach. So now from here we say that also let's say that India Nepal, and many other countries are underdeveloped or developing, right? So different countries have different level of developments. Though developed country could afford the abatement solution, many a times cooperating solution can be problematic for developing and underdeveloped country, because this will reduce the production, hampering their economic growth. So when a country tries to cooperate or do some emission reduction commitments, then the production level of that country reduces. When the production of goods and services reduces, then the economic growth will be slower, right? So the impact for developing and underdeveloped country will be higher. So therefore also it is one of the problematic that many a times these countries will not prefer to enter into such commitments, right? So what will be the solution for this challenge? So we say that when global benefit of cooperation of all the countries is much more than loss of some specific countries, so loss in the sense of economic growth, then all the countries getting benefit out of cooperation. So when you cooperate, the emission is reduced, therefore damage to the climate, damage to the society, health issues, all the things are reduced, right? The probability of natural disasters, flood, earthquake, etc., will also reduce when we try to focus more on the mitigation of climate change, right? So when all the countries come together, then there is global benefit. So if the benefit is much higher than the loss which some countries have to do in terms of economic growth or in terms of costs that they are incurring, then the countries which are getting benefit of this cooperation should compensate the loss of other countries. Okay, so the that is known as side payment, that is compensation for the cooperation for the country. Okay, so there is a requirement of credible side payment to avoid free riding and for global benefits and global pollution abatement. So this is the solution for global issue, that is all country might either free ride or might not choose because they are underdeveloped or developing country and their economy is being impacted, right? In such a case, those country should be benefited or should be given some incentives for clean energy transitions. So this is all. Now we will move towards the economic valuation of environmental goods and services. So till now, if you have any question, then you can ask me. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Am I too fast, too slow, or anything? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Hello? Okay, now we will move towards the economic valuation of environmental goods and services. Okay, so why there is requirement of valuation? So the inefficiency in utilization and extraction of resources is there for environmental goods and services. So inefficient utilization of environment in the form of pollution or in the form of extraction of resources is there, right? So why there is inefficiency? There is inefficiency because of improper valuation of environmental goods and services due to absence of direct market for this goods and services. Market, if there is any direct market, then efficient allocation of resources will happen. However, for environmental goods such as air, clean water, or forest, there is no direct market, right? So in the absence of market, we get improper valuation of environmental goods and services. So there is improper price signaling. So therefore, the environment resources is appear to be free. So when there is free, the price is underpriced, and it leads to either over or underutilization of resources, right? So when there is overutilization of environmental resources, the environmental degradation happens. Therefore, there is requirement of valuation of environmental goods and services. So since the environmental goods and services do not have any money value, the degradation is very high. Therefore, there should be some value of such resources. Okay. So now we continue with the requirement of valuation. So improper valuation is proper valuation is needed for environmental goods and services to avoid environmental degradation. Valuation in the absence of market is difficult task. Therefore, economic valuation of environmental goods and services become important. There is a need to understand the meaning of valuation of different approaches to estimate the economic value of environment. So that's why now in the next section we will try to cover the valuation, how the valuation of environmental goods and services is done. Why? Because there is no direct market for clean air, there is no direct market for clean water, forest, and etc. So in such a cases, how the value is given to the environment, right? So that will be the valuation. So what are the types of valuation? So let's say that there is a wetland. Okay, wetland is a kind of land where the ecosystem existed. There is permafrost inside the land, and there is it is a home for biodiversity also. And the wetland total economic value can be either use value, non-use value, or open value. Okay, use value is the value which you can directly use, right? So directly enter into the utility function when the value of certain environmental goods and services directly enter into the utility function, such value is known as use value. Let's take an example in the wetland case. Let's say that you are hunting a bird. So you either eat it, or you eat the you hunt the birds and then eat them, or either you enjoy the aesthetics of wetland, enjoy the bird watching and etc., right? It can be consumptive or non-consumptive. These things directly enter into your utility function. Utility function is uh, utility function is given by the satisfaction, right? How satisfied you are because of the consumption, or because of the enjoyment of the aestheticity of wetland. So when you directly use them, then it when you directly use them or indirectly use them, but there is a use value, then it can be termed as uh, direct uh, direct or indirect valuation. Okay, now we will move towards the indirect. What is indirect? So let's say that wetland do not directly enter into your utility function. However, wetland plays an important role in flood prevention, groundwater recharge, and biodiversity, and etc. So in such cases, the use of wetland is indirect uh, to you. However, it plays an important role. In such a case, it is called indirect valuation. Okay, now let's say that what is non-use value? So non-use value is you do not directly use them. However, uh, because of the mere existence of wetland, you enjoy the you have some satisfaction. So in such a cases, then it is called existence value, right? Let's say that there is Amazon forest. So you do not go there, you do not enjoy any uh, services of this forest, or there is a beautiful nature place somewhere. Then just because of mere existence of these places, you have some satisfaction. So in such a cases, it is called existence value. Now, bequest value. In bequest value, the environmental resources give some amount of satisfaction, thinking that your future generation may enjoy the resource value. let's say that there is clean water somewhere, or there is a forest somewhere. So just while thinking that there is some beautiful forest somewhere, or there is some natural reserves, so you think that it might be a big value to your future generation. So in such a cases, then it is called bequest value. So there is no direct use, but uh, there is some satisfaction for your future generation. Okay, now there is option value. In option value, you are like, there is clean water somewhere, there is some forest somewhere, someday I'm gonna use it, so in the future. So this value, keeping option open for future, is known as option value. So option value is for yourself, however bequest value is for future generation, right? So this is how the valuation, total economic value of environmental resources is differentiated. So these are different types of value which you can add to the environmental goods and services. So yes, with this I will move towards some of the questions. If you have some question till this lecture, then you can ask me, like, are you able to understand what I covered in the last part, why the valuation of environment is needed, and then we move towards the types of economic valuation. So in the next lecture, next live session, then we can go in detail how the what are the methodologies of an valuation of goods and services from environment. Okay, so we will stop here, and we will discuss few of the questions of week seven. Okay, so okay, now it will be better if you try to answer few of the questions, so that we can discuss some doubts also. So week 7 assignment is already submitted, but we will just discuss this, so that you get clear understanding. And for week 8, I will try to take one of the lecture before the end date, so that we get to the final. Um, we get to solve this live session before the end date of assignment submission. So. mm, Okay, now we will. Okay, Divya, are you there? Hello. Okay, now we will try to solve these questions. Okay, so in the first question, it is asked, which of the following statement is most appropriate? Okay, so first said that use value reflects the value people place on future ability of use of environment, right? Second is use value reflects the common observation that people are more willing to pay improving the preserving resources that they never use. Or third one is option value is direct use of environmental resources. And last one is a pure non-use value is called existence value. So from all this, we can say that the option A, use value reflects the value placed on future ability. That is incorrect, right? So the future ability of use of environment is known as option value. So the first is for the case of option value, not use value. And the second one, use value reflects the common observation that people are more willing to pay for improving. Uh, so th- this is also incorrect, because here we say that the person is not using it, right? Use value is direct consumption or enjoyment of aesthetics of resources. So therefore the option, last option, that is pure non-use value is called existence value. So here we have seen that the non-use value can be termed as existence value. Mere existence of certain resources can be termed as this, right? So option last is correct. Now, in the second question, we are asked the transboundary pollution is pollution caused by greenhouse emission, pollution caused due to SO2, pollution which originates in one country and cause damage to the other country's environment. Pollution which originates in one country but it is able to cause damage in other country's environment by crossing borders. So the correct definition is option D, last option, that is, sorry, option D, the pollution which originates in one country and cause damage in other countries' environment by crossing boundaries, right? So that is how the transboundary pollution is defined. The transboundary pollution can be either acid rain, CO2 emissions, and etc. Now, in the third case, which among the following statement is correct? So, when policymaker wants certainty over the marginal abatement costs, emission tax is not effective. So, the first statement is incorrect. The emission tax is effective in this case when policymaker wants certainty over the marginal abatement cost, right? So, first statement is incorrect. Second one, tradable pollution permits ensure certainty over the cost of pollution control. So this is also incorrect. The real correct sentence is tradable pollution control do not ensure certainty over the cost of pollution control. So now option third, as long as there is perfect information about the marginal abatement cost, both emission tax as well as permit system are equally effective. So we have seen in the lecture also that the effectiveness of both this system is there when we know the value of when we know the value of marginal abatement cost, right? So as long as there is perfect information about MSC, both the market based instruments are effective. Okay, so for third question, the third option is correct. Okay, now which of the following is not an example of non-use value? So the first one is the value of river to a recreational fisherman who practice catch and release fishing, right? So here the fisherman is catching and releasing the fish. So we can say that this is use value. So this is not a non-use value case. So it can be termed as indirect. uh, it can be termed as non-consumptive use value, right? So it is not non-use value. Next is use value use value sorry use value of the forest to a bird watcher. So here also the bird watcher is enjoying. In this case, this is non-consumptive use kind of value. So this is not non-use. Then the value of dolphin to commercial fishermen who don't harvest the dolphin but use the dolphin. So here also the dolphin is being used. So uh, from the solution, the none of the above is non-use value. That will be the correct answer. Okay. In the fifth case, we are asked which of the following items are included in the definition of total economic value. So total economic value we have seen here uh, is use, non-use, existence. However, there is no correct value, so only option A and B are correct. Okay. So next one is when regulator wants fixed amount of pollution. So the pollution amount is fixed, then which one is effective? Okay, so pollution amount is fixed, therefore emission tax is not effective, and tradable pollution permit is effective. Therefore, the correct answer is option A and D. Okay, so both A and D are true. So with this, I will end today's session. If you have any question, then you can ask me right now, or you can later on mail me or ask on the NPTEL portal. So any question or any feedback, then you can please unmute or you can tell me in the chat box. Okay. So with this, I will end today's session. Thank you for joining. Divya, are you there? Okay, so today we have covered last week's, we have revised last week what we have done, and then we have covered the effectiveness and efficiency of the tradable pollution permit and the tradable pollution permit and emission tax system. From here, we have uh, also derived uh, the value T is equals to MSC, right? The optimum level of tax amount is equal to marginal abatement cost. So we have equate the firm's objective with the planner's objective. From here, we get the value of T, which is equals to marginal abatement cost of firm K. And then we have moved towards the transboundary pollution and global public good. And then what are the challenges? And then the game theoretic approach to analyze the problem of global cooperation. And then we have set two cases, either optimum level or free rider case. And then from here we move towards the solution, that is to pay the country which are incurring the loss because of cooperation. And then we move towards the next module, that is economic valuation. So we have talked about the requirement of valuation and then the types of economic valuation. So with this we will end today's session. So thank you for joining.